Hey, nerdy sports fan here, and we're getting into week 7 NFL action. Sorry the videos are so late this time, guys. I've been playing with thousands of pounds of concrete. Anyways, Chiefs are going to visit the Broncos, and the Chiefs are in a slump right now. They've been lumped up on a couple of times in a row by AFC South teams, and the Broncos are on a roll. They've won a few games, and the defense is starting to shape up and look like the Vic Fangio unit should look like, really. The offense is playing as expected, very grinded out kind of style, and Joe Flacco's not terrible. Nobody thought he was going to be. He's just not great, you know? But the Chiefs, their offense is great. Their defense is awful. Weird, right? When you revamp the entire unit, change coaching staffs for that side of the ball, and then just kind of slipshod everything together, you hoped it was going to work. Because the thought was you couldn't be any worse than last year. And then this year happened. Yeah. So it's interesting, really. The Chiefs probably were in the running for the Jalen Ramsey trade and just didn't bid as much as the Rams did. But they're in dire straits. Their defense is crap. Good thing is they're going up against an offense that's nowhere near as potent as last week's opponent with the Texans. So I don't think the Chiefs are at a supreme disadvantage here. Their offense is very, very good. And the Denver defense is just kind of decent right now. It's like middle of the pack. The Denver offense is middle of the pack. And whereas the Chiefs defense is subpar, I just think the differences still skew towards the Chiefs' favor. They're very well coached with an experienced head coach, and they have a lot of talent. I mean, sure, they've got injuries. They really do. Eric Fisher has been hurt. He might play, but they have a guard that's out, and Mahomes himself is still hurt. He's got a hobbled ankle that he's limping around on, so he can't get away from the rush as easily. Good thing, they're weak up the middle, and Denver's strength on their defensive front is the edge. So I don't think it's going to be as big of a problem against Denver as it was against Houston, where you could have J.J. Watt just running up the middle and causing all sorts of havoc. So the Chiefs, in spite of all their injuries, Sammy Watkins, Chris Jones, all these guys being out, I still think they're an overall better team with a better coach, better quarterback, and they're going to win, okay? They're only 3-point favorites, likely because of Denver's recent winning streak and the Chiefs' recent losing streak. I don't think either of those streaks continue forever. Nobody does, really. Unless you're a die-hard Denver fan, nobody really thinks they're going to win this game. So I just don't understand only 3-point favorite. It's probably because they are playing in Denver. I think the Chiefs are going to beat the spread pretty easily. As far as fantasy football goes, Tyreek Hill came back in a big way. Nobody's giving him up if they have him now. Everybody who drafted him really late, and hopefully you did enough in the beginning of the season for his return from suspension to usher you into the playoffs, because Tyreek Hill is the number one target in the NFL. He's just that good. He's smaller, sure, but he's thick. So you don't really think he's going to get injured that much. He's like a Steve Smith kind of build, where he's very, very built, even though he's very small. So I don't think he's going to be very injury prone. It's just a matter of how often he decides to beat up on his kid. Yeah, that's why I never have him on my fantasy team. But, if you don't care about that sort of thing, kudos to you. Denver, not using Philip Lindsay as much as people would have liked, but that just means that Royce Freeman is carrying the load. And for what they want to do on offense, they want to grind it out. They want to have long, sustained drives, give their defense a rest so they can really take advantage of the pass rush that they can generate with this scheme and the talent that they have. So Philip Lindsay, flex at best. Royce Freeman, maybe a running back 2. Roll the dice with the Chiefs' backfield because they got 3 running backs that any one of them at any point could be the one that gets the touchdown or the most carries. It's dicey. So all of them are like flex plays at best. McCoy, Williams, the other Williams. It's sketchy. But as far as receivers go, Tyreek Hill's guaranteed start. Robinson and Mecole Hardman are relegated to wide receiver 3 kind of line since Tyreek's back. Kelsey, I expect to get less attention now because Tyreek's back. So Kelsey's going to take a lot of advantage, especially in matchups like this where, the linebacking core of the other team and the safeties of the other team aren't really the greatest. So Kelsey's going to show up huge. Tyreek Hill's going to show up big, and Mahomes is going to show you what you thought he was going to be the last few weeks. You're not going to have terrible games out of this guy like 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row. It won't happen. So I expect him to bounce back. I expect the Chiefs to win. I expect Kelsey to have a great game, Mahomes to have a great game, but I also expect Royce Freeman to have a great game. Now, he's only a running back 2 because they're also going to be using Philip Lindsay a lot, but either one of those guys has a very high ceiling because the Chiefs' defense is just terrible. So those are the guys that I would think about starting in fantasy lineups. And again, I'll take the Chiefs against the spread any day in a game like this. Hit me up in the Nerdy Sports Fan Weekly so we can talk about, a little more in depth about the Jalen Ramsey trade and some other things going on in the league. And check out the rest of the videos for more fantasy football advice.